Alright guys, so you have your quiz for the second half of class today. So the first half of class, I'm just going to walk you through the review sheet that you should have picked up from the front table. And the questions on here are exactly like the questions that you'll see on your quiz in a few minutes. So the first question says to write 5/11ths as a decimal using long division. So that means you can't just type it into your calculator and write down the answer. You need to actually show the steps for the long division. So all I'm going to do is take the fraction and imagine that I just tip it over on its side. Alright, so if I were to tip that over, the 5 would end up on the inside and the 11 would be on the outside. Now 11 can't go into 5, so then I'm going to add a decimal and a 0, and I'm going to bring the decimal straight up into my answer. Then 11 goes into 54 times, which is 44. Subtract, you get 6. Add a 0 and bring it down. And then 11 goes into 65 times, which is 55. Subtract, you get 5. Add a 0, bring it down. And then you can see that the same thing is going to keep happening. 11 goes into 54 times, and then 5 times, and so on. So our answer here is 0.45 repeating. So the bar should be over the 4 and the 5 because both digits are repeating. For the second question, it says, which fraction is equivalent to 0.73 repeating? Now, you may have tried to do that on your calculator and type in 0.73 repeating and then second PRB. The problem with that is that you can't type a repeating decimal into the calculator. So what we're going to do for a question like this is we're going to work through the 4 answer choices and turn those fractions into decimals and then see which one comes out to be the correct decimal. Alright, so I'm going to start with 3/7. So I'm going to type 3 ABC7, and then second PRB. Okay, that turns it into a decimal. That decimal is not equal to 0.73 repeating, so it can't be that one. Alright, so the next one I'll try is 5/9. So 5 ABC9, second PRB. I get 0.5 repeating, can't be that. So then I go to the next one, 11 ABC15, second PRB. And now I get the one that's equal to 0.73 repeating. Alright, so that's going to be choice C. Alright, moving on to the next question here. So one of the things that we talked about since the last quiz was finding the distance between any two integers. And it says we can use a number line to model the distance between integers even for large numbers. Alright, so it says the lowest temperature ever recorded was -127 degrees Fahrenheit in Antarctica in 1983. And then the highest temperature recorded was 134 in California in 1913. What's the difference between these two temperatures? There's a couple different ways that you could do this. One way is using that number line model. So you could draw your number line. You'd have 0 in the middle. You'd say -127 is going to be down here, and then positive 134 will be up here. Alright, so that's step 1. Now, I can find the distance for each piece and then add them together. So I would say, well, I know from 0 to 134, that's 134, and I know from 0 to -127 is 127. If I add those two together, I'm going to get 261 degrees. The other way to think about that is, well, difference means subtract, so what you're subtracting is -127 minus 134. Okay, so I would type that in. And I'm going to get -261, but I'm just going to ignore the negative sign because I'm looking for the distance essentially between the two numbers. Alright, so I just want that to be positive. Next question here is just talking about using the calculator, so it's just reminding you that when you type fractions or mixed numbers, you need to use the ABC button, which is right up here. Alright, so it says, what is the sum of 10 4/7 and 3 2/5? Well, you need to remember that sum means addition. It's the answer to addition. So the question is asking, what's 10 and 4/7 plus 3 and 2/5. So I'm just going to type it in. So I'm going to do 10 ABC 4 ABC 7 plus 3 ABC 2 ABC 5. Alright, and for my answer, I end up with this. Now remember, you don't write this on your paper. Right? This is the calculator's way of separating the fraction from the whole number. So our answer is actually 13 and 34/35. Okay? Don't write that U on your paper. And the one down at the bottom there is also just a calculator question. Alright, so your calculator, technically this is order of operations, but your calculator will do order of operations for you. You just have to make sure that you're typing that in exactly how it appears on your paper. Alright, so I'm just going to start typing. So 18 ABC 3 ABC 4 minus, make sure you're doing minus and not negative, 5 ABC 1 ABC 5. The parentheses are above the 8 and the 9, so open parentheses, 8 minus 3 ABC 1 ABC 2. We'll close the parentheses above the 9 there, and then plus 2. Okay, so we get negative 2 and 13/20 for our answer. Alright, now you're looking at your 4 answer choices, and you're like, there is no answer choice that's negative 2 and 13/20. Well, this is a mixed number. These ones are improper fractions because the top is bigger than the bottom. We didn't really talk about how to switch between mixed numbers and improper fractions. So what you can do is you can type these answer choices into your calculator. It will turn those into mixed numbers for you because an improper fraction is not simplified. Whenever you type a fraction into the calculator, it will simplify it for you. So we're just going to get these simplified. So I'm going to type in negative 12 ABC 5. And then it tells me that's negative 2 and 2/5, which is not what we wanted. Alright, so then I do the next one. Negative 53 ABC 20. And that comes out to negative 2 and 13/20, which is what we wanted. Okay, now you may notice if you're looking at these that I accidentally put the same answer on there twice. Alright, so I guess technically here both of these are the correct answer. That was just a mistake on my part. Alright, so if you flip to the back. The other topic that we talked about the other day was adding, or not adding, but multiplying and dividing integers. And we went over our rules for that. Well, you have a calculator for the quiz, so you don't really need to worry about the rules. You're just going to type this in. Now remember, fraction means division. So this is really just negative 594 divided by 9. Alright, so I'm just going to type that in. Negative, make sure you're using that negative button, 594 divided by 9. And we end up with an answer of negative 66. And now we're moving on to what we did yesterday, switching between fractions and decimals. And again, this is just right on the calculator. So it says write 26/15 as a decimal. So I'm going to do 26 ABC 15, and then second PRB. So that's saying take the fraction, turn it to a decimal. Alright, so we're going to get this. And you notice that the 3 is the only part that's repeating. So my answer is going to be 1.73 with the repeating bar only over the 3. And the one below that now says to convert using long division. So this is like the first question that we did on the do now. So we're going to take our fraction. We're going to imagine that we just tip it right over. So the 3 ends up on the inside and the 8 ends up on the outside. Now 8 can't go into 3, so I'm going to add a decimal and a 0. And I'm going to bring that decimal up into my answer. And then I'm going to say, well, how many times can 8 go into 30? Okay, so that goes in 3 times, which is 24. I subtract, 30 minus 24 is 6, and then I add a 0 and bring it down. Now I need to figure out how many times 8 goes into 60. Now these are situations where you can use your calculator to help you figure this out. You just have to still show the long division here. Alright, so 8 will go in there 7 times, which is 56. Subtract, you get 4, and then we'll add another 0 and bring it down. And then 8 goes into 40 5 times. Okay, now because we get a 0 remainder, we know we're done, so our answer is 0.375. The last topic that's on the quiz is the word problems, and it reminds you right here, we've only done word problems with addition and subtraction so far. So on your quiz, if you're getting to these word problems and you're thinking you need to multiply or divide, don't do it. We haven't done any multiplication or division word problems yet. We've only done addition and subtraction. Alright, so the first one says, Ryan starts with a balance of negative $10 in his account. He gets paid $55 for raking leaves and then spends $18 on food. What is the final balance in his account? So what I'm going to look at here is what operations do I need to use? Do I need to add, subtract, or some combination of both? So I'm going to say, all right, he starts with negative $10. He gets paid. If he's getting paid, then he's adding money into his account. All right, so my first operation is going to be addition. So he's going to add the $55. All right, you just use your calculator for this. So remember, the negative is down here next to the equals, so negative 10 plus 55. All right, so right now he's got $45. Then he spends $18 on food. If you're spending money, that's subtraction. That's coming out of your account. So now we're going to do 45 minus 18. Okay, now you've already got the 45 on your screen, so just press minus 18. And there's our answer, $27. Alright, now if it's a show your work question on the quiz, make sure that you're showing both steps of your work. Alright, don't just write an answer and don't skip steps. Okay, you got to show all your work to get full credit. Last question says, a cook at a restaurant used 5 3/5 pounds of pasta from a pot that contained 22 1/4 pounds. How much pasta was left in the pot? Alright, so again, I have to decide what operation I'm going to use. So it's saying we've got this pot that has 22 1/4 pounds in it. We are using 5 3/5 pounds. So that is subtraction. It's coming out of the pot. So we're going to subtract 22 1/4 minus 5 3/5. And we're just going to do this on the calculator. So 22 ABC1 ABC4 minus 5 ABC3 ABC5. And that gives us an answer of 16 13/20 pounds. Alright, again, do not write this on your paper. That's not a number. Alright, the U is the calculator's way of separating the whole number from the fraction. So that is 16 3/20. Okay, and keep in mind again, if it's a show your work question, you need to make sure you're showing your work.